grown more. The first year was we can't stand these guys. Last year was they were down a little bit, so to say, from that year. So it was a little different last year, but I think that this year is really fueled. I think that this is the year that it actually, hey, we're 1-1, like, or I'm sorry, 2-1. I forgot about 13. So yeah, so 2012 they came in and they handed it to us pretty good at home, and then 13 we go there down to one play, great game. That one really hurt to lose, but then they come here, they come back. Last year we beat them, so it's 2-1. So it's actually really becoming a rivalry. It's still young because we don't have a lot of like hatred. You know what I mean? Like obviously Troy and South don't get along because we're right next to each other, but it's like there's no real tradition there yet. So kind of building that tradition. And I think the thing that SGA has going on with trying to name the bowl game and stuff like that, me personally, I think it should be named the Fusackley's Bowl, but I'm kidding. But yeah, Battle of the Belt or whatever. I could care less about the name. As long as there's a trophy there, I think that builds tradition to where, Adam was talking about having a belt that, you bring to that for us, we would take to Troy this year since we won last year. Winner of that game takes the belt with them, kind of shows it off, like this is building a tradition like that. I think would add so much to our rivalry.
Awesome. All right, I guess I'll let them have it.
Sweet.
Thanks.
Coach Jones was just talking about the moment in Montgomery last year went out on the field. Can you sort of go through, what was your mindset going out last year?
In Montgomery, going out into the bowl game.
Yeah.
Honestly, the process of getting to the bowl game was really cool. Then getting running out and the fireworks going off it kind of caught me off guard. It was a cool experience, but honestly, not to sound too cliche, but once it was like, whoa, bowl game, it was gone. It was like this is just another game. Not to undermine that bowl game at all, but it was an awesome experience. I heard Coach Jones say this earlier. That was probably the biggest landmark in our program's short history so far, and I would agree with that. It was a really cool experience, but like I said, personally from my standpoint, because I'm not one of those guys that gets like real rah-rah about games. I'm really kind of calm and collective before the game starts. So for me, it was like, whoa, this is cool. Okay, time to play football.
Well, that's O-line mentality.
Exactly, yeah.
Are you the guys, you're the calming influence?
Are you saying O-line or me?
Oh, both.
Well, everybody kind of has their own kind of personality before games. Obviously, I like to I'm more of, me personally, just as a person, I'm more of kind of goof off and have a good time and get the job done while doing that. That's just me. But I wouldn't really say that there's a calming force, so to say. I would just say that that's, for the most part, kind of our mentality. Me, I'm a little different than the O-line guys. They're more calm, headphones on, bobbing their heads, stuff like that. I'm a little different in that aspect. But I wouldn't say that we're like a calming force or anything like that.
But you have to do what you do on offense for anything else to happen.
Yes.
That's what
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, I agree with that 100%. I think that if you have a good offensive line, a good defensive line, you're going to have a good team. But yeah, I agree with that for sure then.
You are still a work in progress. It's a very young program. I think 31 seniors gone from last year's team. You have an influx of new people this year that you didn't know that you would have until this year. Is it still sort of a program in transition?
In a transition as from last year to this.
Just as a program in general.
Okay.
Still,
I don't think that we've done anything to per se say, bam, this is South Alabama. You know what I mean? I don't think that we've particularly set a standard of winning a conference championship, of winning a bowl game. We've gotten to those things, and I would say that we are there, but we aren't like set in stone, if that makes sense. Because we are a young program. But in saying that, I do think that we are very much so on our way. People know who we are, especially going into games like Tennessee, and probably should have won that game. Honestly, we really outplayed them in that game. They just kind of, towards the end, we just kind of fluttered a little bit. Games like South Carolina, go up there and probably should have won that game, forced them 4 or 5 turnovers and still didn't come up with a victory there. That's kind of a tough question to answer because part of me wants to say, yes, we are. People know who we are as in our conference and things like that. People know our name, but me personally as a player, I don't think that we've accomplished the standard that I think we need to get to yet. I think that we're right there. Yeah. Yeah, well, I actually came in with that class, the class that just graduated. I was a part of that signing class, a recruiting class, and things like that. Technically, this is, well, not technically, literally, this is my sixth year. I gray shirted and then red shirted. So for me personally, no, not really, because I've always kind of accepted, like, hey, if you're going to start and you're going to play, you're going to be a starting offensive lineman, you need to step up into some type of leadership role, at least in the offensive line, and then let that carry over. But I do think that leadership has been something that we as players have pushed on each other. Our coaches really harped on that for us in the spring, but we really kind of took ownership in that ourselves, and so the players that the coaches put that on, we are taking that and not only putting it on ourselves, but putting it on other players who we see personally who need to step up and be leaders. And I think that this is a good time for younger guys to develop into that, to continue to build a tradition of that, you know, like guys that are younger, redshirt freshmen and sophomores like that, that we, as my class as well as the junior class this year, can really develop and take under our wing, so to say, to develop into leaders, develop a standard of South Alabama to